Good morning. Today is the 25th. Oh, all right. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Exodus 20:14. Sins against the law of chastity are extremely serious for many reasons. First, as with murder, violations of the law of chastity tamper with the very powers of life. Second, once taken, virtue cannot be restored. Third, immortality spawns a whole host of fellow travelers, feelings of inadequacy, feelings of betrayal, feelings of jealousy, a loss of hope, and so on. Finally, immorality, if I could read. Third, immorality spawns a whole host of fellow travelers, feelings of inadequacy, feelings of betrayal, feelings of jealousy, a loss of hope, and so on. Finally, immorality is closely associated with the violation of two other commandments, the commandment against lying and the commandment against coveting that which is not ours. History teaches us the sobering lesson that nations who have allowed their moral standards to decline to the point where immorality prevails are nations that crumble eventually beneath the weight of their own iniquity. Well, I guess we're all doomed then. Our nation is about to crumble. All right. Like we didn't already know that. Okay. Today is Genesis 26. And in this, there's a drought. And so Isaac goes near to Abimelech, king of Gerar. Anyways, and the Lord tells him, don't go to Egypt. Okay, I know there's a drought, but I will be with you. Don't go to Egypt. Stay away from that place. So he goes to Gerar and he pitches his tent near the city. And he tells the men of the city that Rebecca is his sister, not his wife. I don't know if there was people running rampant killing men for their wives in these days, but it seems to be the case. But anyways, the king looks out his window one day and sees him sporting with Rebecca, and so he calls him and he's like, she's not your sister, she's your wife. Why did you lie? He's like, I was afraid you were going to kill me. Obviously a very great fear because his dad did it, now he's doing it. Anyways, the men of the city the king of the city tells the men, don't touch this guy, okay? Just don't. And Isaac is doing really, really well. Got lots of servants, lots of goods. People are getting jealous of him. The Philistines filled in all the wells that Abraham had digged with dirt because they were jealous of him. The king, Abimelech, sends him away, says, you're too great, go away. Don't stay here anymore. And so he goes off to a plain. He lives in the plain for a while. Sorry, my eye is giving me trouble. And, he starts to dig a couple of wells. He gets one, and the shepherds of the valley are like, hey, that's our water. Knock it off. So he goes someplace else and begins to dig another well. He really doesn't like contention. He'd rather just leave than have contention. So he leaves, he digs another well. The Abimelech and two of his friends come to him, and he's like, why are you here? You guys hate me. Why'd you come? You sent me away. You don't like me. What are you doing here? What do you want? Kind of that spurned. I don't know. Anyways. And they're like, listen, we know you're blessed of the Lord, and we just want to make an oath with you that you won't attack us, and you'll be nice to us. And he says, fine, whatever. And then they find water. And that's the whole chapter. So, let's get into some points of interest, I suppose. Blessings of the covenant. In these significant verses 1 through 5, the Lord expands the promises and blessings of the Abrahamic Covenant to Isaac, the birthright son of the patriarch Abraham. Through Isaac, the blessings of an abundant, noble lineage would be preserved, including promises of a chosen homeland and commissions to carry the gospel and priesthood blessings to the world. The Abrahamic Covenant would have a dual essence: blessings in the mortal realm, a promised land, and blessings in the world to come, a heavenly home with all that my Father hath. So, we know the covenant. It looks like my eye is bright red. It's weird. I need a mirror. Okay. We could talk about Abimelech, but I see no point. Point of interest. Abraham purchased the cave of Machpelah, his tomb, from Ephron the Hittite. Oh yeah, and Esau married 2 Hittite women, which grieved his parents. The presence of Hittites in Palestine, however, is the subject of much debate. Hittite scholar O.R. Gurney says, whereas the Hittites appear in the Old Testament as a Philistine tribe, increasing knowledge of the history of the ancient people of Hattai has led us even further from Palestine. Although Hittite armies reached Damascus, they never entered Palestine itself. The presence of Hittites in Palestine before the Israelite conquest thus presents a curious problem. So far from explaining it, all our accumulated knowledge of the people of Hattai has only made it more perplexing. The stories of Abraham's purchase of the cave of Machpelah and of Esau's Hittite wives have, it is true, been ascribed by critics to the post-exilic priestly writer, and are therefore not of much value as historical evidence, nor are the various lists of Canaanite tribes thought to be very much earlier in their date of composition. But the important passage, Numbers 13:29, cannot be explained away. Here it is stated quite definitively that the Hittites occupied a hill country with Amorites in the coastal plain and the Jordan Valley, the Amalekites in the south. Since the location of the Hittites agrees with the story about the purchase of the cave of Machpelah near Hebron from a Hittite, we may assume that the latter is based on an earlier source. Alright, so what I'm assuming from that, which was very difficult to read, is that the Hittite scholar is saying there's no evidence that this story about Abraham purchasing the cave from the Hittite is true at all. The Hittites only stayed in this area here. We know that. That's a fact. But then they're saying, but the story about the Hittites living on this hill, that's hard to explain away, and maybe it's true. Now, here's my thing. How could you know what's going on? What is this, like a million AD of BC? You know, it's like, you can't say you know for a fact, because you don't. These scientists who say, oh, it's a fact that this, and it's a fact that that. No, it's not, because you don't know. You don't know at all. This is a guess. This is your best guess. It's not a fact at all. So the fact that they're saying that, oh, we know that the Hittites only went here. No, you don't. You know that the records of the Hittites start right here. That's what you know. All right. That's all I have for today. That was Genesis 26. And then tomorrow and the next day we break up 27. All right.